Hey everybody, thanks for joining me. In today's video, I want to have a look at Bitcoin and just sort of give my 2 cents on where I think it's headed. I'm going to be looking at the short, medium, and long term, so a bit of everything for everybody. Me personally, I'm bullish on Bitcoin. I do think in the long run, it's going to do well. It's a good asset to hold, I think, especially now is probably a good time to start picking some up. Considering that it's just about $27,000 American dollars. But of course, I mean, looking at previous cycles and the last cycle, we can see that it was peaked at its 69,000 American dollars, and I think we will break past this, but I don't think we'll be seeing it for a while. I mean, looking at the prices right now, we are in a current uptrend, which does lead to my first prediction that will be, I think we'll see one more sort of, we'll see one more sort of leg up here, sort of something like this. I think we'll see one more final climb. I don't know how it will look. I don't know how high it will go, but I think we will get one more push. And then I think we're due for basically a steady bleed off for the better part of a year. Personally, I think that's what we're sort of looking at here. And I think we'll get down to the sort of 20,000 mark again. I don't think we'll break this. I think that's the lowest we'll get this cycle. I think that 17k, 15k even, where we got down to really low levels, I don't think we'll see that again. I think lowest we'll get is we'll wick below 20k. Maybe we'll push to 17k. And the reason I say that is, well, there's a few things, but mainly it's looking back at the 2018 bull run. You can see that we had this, obviously our bull run took off. We hit our all-time highs for that run. And then we just bled for the whole year, literally from November to November, just went down, And eventually we had this sort of capitulation when nothing happened around Christmas and New Year time. And then we had this sort of surge again, this strong surge, like to what we're seeing now. We've had this really strong leg up, and then it just sort of collapsed again. It slowly bled out for really, I mean, sort of 8-9 months. It really went. I mean, it sort of finishes here. From this point on, this is where sort of the bull market starts. So, I mean, from March to June, 9 months, it just slowly went down, really. So, really, kind of nothing happened for about a year and a half almost, really. Sorry, something did happen, but I mean, if you want to look at it like displacement, it didn't really go anywhere over the course of a year and a half. And then we went into our bull market. So it had these fluctuations that sort of hurt everybody, bears got ruined here, bulls got ruined here. And, in between there was rallies of each that sort of gave the other side a reason to call for what they wanted. But ultimately it's sort of just, it just faffed about really for basically 2.5 years. And then we had our bull run here, and we had a very long bull run considering the last few. It was 2020 to about 2022 really. And then of course you went into this year of bleeding, like we saw here, year of bleeding. About Christmas time, we get our capitulation for a few months. And then into the new year, we got the New Year rally, Santa rally, whatever you want to call it, which sort of lifted us up. And ever since we've been in this steady sort of uptrend. And you can say the same for back here. They had this sort of, well, it wasn't New Year's, it was a few months afterwards, but they went into this steady uptrend, and they reached about 60% of what the all-time high was. That's where it sort of peaked. Now, we didn't stay at this time for very long. So you can see this is the daily. So I'd say this was literally a wick up. And after about 3 days, we were down to 11k, with the all-time high of then being 20. So really, you kind of averaged out around the 50% mark for a while, and then you bled for the rest of the year, all the way back down to these really low levels. And that's why I think we're going to see the same thing happen again, where we have this, choppy upward motion for a while, and then we're going to see somewhere around the 50-60% mark of what we got before our previous all-time high, which was 69k. So we'll end up somewhere like 34, maybe, I think 35k, maybe a bit more, maybe a bit less. I'm leaning towards a bit less, though, personally. I think how this sort of is kind of stretched out here is showing that a bit of weakness, really, to be honest with you. But yeah, I think we'll have one more leg up, and then I think we'll bleed out. And if you actually look at the time frame, I think it was June when it actually peaked, wasn't it? Yeah, June 19th. And if you see here, it's it's June 3rd at the moment, so we have just about 3 weeks, just under, if you want to go by the date, which, of course, you should never put that much weight in something like that ever. But if we were going to do it that way, we'd have about 3 weeks left, and I can kind of see that happening. I can see as another spike like this sort of thing here, flop around here for a little while, and then head back down for the next 9-8 months, like we did over here. And this isn't just for the 2018 run, also in the 2014, sort of the first bull run that Bitcoin really saw, the first actual where it got any sort of mainstream attention. As you can see, we sort of had our peak at the end of 2014, and then for the whole of 2014 just bled, it just went down, and then it sort of flopped around this new low for it. But unlike the 2018 bull run and capitulation afterwards, we didn't see this sort of recovery and then wick down. Instead, we saw just it stayed at this low level. It sort of just did nothing for a while, went sideways, flatlined, and then it just steadily went up instead. And it went up pretty slow, to be honest with you. I mean, I know that looks good from like a strong price movement, but really it only took off, around here, really, wasn't it? Actually, yeah, I'd say around here is when it first started getting its legs underneath it. So almost really 3 years after the peak, in 2014, bleed for 2015, do nothing for 2016, finally get its legs under it at around the end of 2016. So it does the same job, really, when you think about it. All it's trying to do here is trying to remove liquidity, remove people from the market, remove money from the markets. And it did that, and it did the same here. It just did it in different ways. It tricked people into putting more money in, and then it removed that money and basically gave it to the long-term holders who were buying at these sort of low levels and who would be DCAing on these downward trends here. And now, me personally, I was actually picking up some around this area. Basically, like FTX, especially, I picked up a lot then. And I think I was actually lucky to do that, because I remember a lot of people saying, well, there's no point buying it now because it's only going to go down. And they were sort of right, but I DCA'd in anyway, and I actually ended up getting Bitcoin like the 15k sort of range, 17k, sorry. So, not a bad shout at all. But anyway, that's kind of what I think is going to happen. Like I said, I think we won't break this line anyway, but we'll go up for a bit and then capitulate afterwards. Slow bleed for another best part of a year, 10 months, and then maybe in 2024 with the Bitcoin halving, and sometime around April, I think we'll see a sort of parabolic move like we did with most markets before, where we'll just sort of shoot up like this. Now, in no way is this financial advice. This is total guesswork on very flimsy, indicators, but it's, past performance is usually a good indicator. It's not always confirmation. It's never confirmation of what will happen, but looking at these cycles, I think, is useful. And so far, the last two that have been recorded to any sort of proper, with any sort of proper, like, actual verified information from exchanges and stuff, it's followed a very similar sort of peak, bleed for a year, chop around for a year, and then pick up. Peak, bleed for a year, chop around for a year, and then pick up. And now we've seen our peak, we've bled for a year, we're going to chop around for a year here, and then I think we're going to head back up. So yeah, that's my 10 cents. I think it's important to be looking at these charts, and I think now is the sort of time, if you're still in the market, this is where money is made. So to be sort of looking at these indicators and having a rough idea in your head of what you think might happen, it's never hurts, especially not now when, now is the time to be buying, really. Even if you're buying at these prices, I mean, I still think you're going to come away with a pretty nice profit, to be honest with you. Like, even if we only reach our all-time high, and I say only reach our all-time high like it's not much, but Bitcoin isn't one to disappoint with big movements usually, especially in bull runs. So even if we do reach our all-time high of 70k, if you went and bought Bitcoin now, that's still almost a 3x sort of thing. You're looking at a 2.5x, which is nothing to scoff at, especially if it comes about in the next year and a half, So, look, guys, keep your eyes on the charts. I hope you found this useful anyway. And if you did, please feel free to subscribe. And I'll try upload somewhat regularly. I want to go through a few sort of indicators like dominance, and I want to have a look at a few key resistance and support levels, but I'll do those in separate videos. So anyway, thanks very much, guys. Take care and peace.